Getting hit multiple times coming out of that bike section. More drivers coming to blows.
Greetings, race fans, and buckle up for Sim Racers Group Formula 3 racing on SMB. JR Gregory here with you on the call, along with my partner Charles Boshell and our producer, the return of Adam Thompson. And as the second ever season of SRG F3 rolls on, week 6 takes us to Hungary and the fantastic Hungaroring, built in 1986, and that same year hosted the first Formula One Grand Prix behind the Iron Curtain, and it has continually hosted the Hungarian GP every year since then. Past host to Grand Prix motorcycle racing, American Le Mans Series, DTM, and FIA GT. Today's configuration, 2.7 miles, 4.3 clicks, and 14 corners. The current record of 1:16.627 set by Sir Lewis Hamilton back in 2020. And Charles, tonight brings us once again to one of those tracks that can suffer from a frustrating lack of grip for GT drivers such as myself, but the mechanical grip and downforce can on offer from these F3 cars should allow these cars to really light it up out here. So what are your keys to success in Hungary?
Yeah, JR, tonight, smooth transitions to the corners. This very technical track that we're about to deal with tonight. It's one of the most technical in F1, as well as what we'll experience as well. Attack the chicane and be cautious of the curbs. You really need to really try and get a good smooth transition through the chicanes and get through there as quickly as you can. And then obviously we've seen curb issues with these cars before, so you just want to be a little careful. Then finally, you're going to look for your passing in the braking zones. There's not a lot of draft help here, primarily only down the front straight. So you're going to have to be really good on the brakes tonight, be late on the brakes, and try and make your passes that way. So I'm really looking forward to an extremely interesting race tonight, and we'll just see how it all plays out. But I think it's going to be fun if nothing else.
That should be an interesting one, and my own observations from around here have to do in large part with track limits. You really have to know the limits around here. There's a lot of racing service that's over the white line into the green, and if you haven't put in the time to figure out where those spots are, it is going to show in your lap times. Also, I'm keeping an eye on turn 4. That one has always been a tricky one out here for me. That apex and the exit are hidden kind of uphill over a crest, and you kind of have to turn in right as the car lightens up across that crest. And we tend to see some incidents out here in turn 4. And of course, all these slow corners, these F3 cars have enough power to loop it pretty easily if you're not judicious with the throttle application. We're seeing one of those spots right now as Poborji rounding turn 13 there. Now this is turn 14 coming on to the main straightaway. And yeah, Charles, you mentioned the draft, and this is where it could play a role as we're riding along with Poborji down that pit straight. Really, this straightaway to me is more about the exit out of turn 14, which can be really tricky. So you got to get a good drive there. Here's the heaviest braking zone on the track into turn number 1 here, which opens up on exit. So you got to be pretty aggressive on the throttle. This left hand downhill corner right here, turn 2, pretty tricky, a little bit off camber. And here's one of my favorite sections right here. This is absolutely flat right here all the way up this hill, and this is the tricky turn 4 that I was talking about earlier. Just a little lift, drop a gear, smooch that inside curb, let it drift out into the green. Pretty good line there by Poborji, who as we sit right now is only about 7/100ths off of the pole set by Josh Leslie. So Poborji is going to pull over right there and kill our in-car lap, but you get the idea. Got a couple of the highlights right there, and that back section as well, Charles. A couple spots where you really have to tickle and flirt with those track limits to get a good lap time in.
Yeah, absolutely. There are some, and you're right. That's a good shout on the track limits here, because there are some kind of hidden extra meters there that you can use beyond the normal white racing boundary. So it's going to be fun. We'll see what happens here, and we'll talk about more of this track as we move forward. But it looks like we're ready to start our heat race.
All right, that 1 hour open qualifying that starts these sessions has come to a close. We're gritting up right now for the first part of this race, our 15-minute heat. Not one, but 2 races here on Slow Motion Broadcasting Day. And here is your grid. Josh Leslie snags the pole. That is his best qualifying effort so far in his first season here in Formula 3. He will line up to last year's our last season's champ, rather, and winner of 5 in a row, Stephen Case. Behind them, Jason Green and Danush Poborji. Then it's Vic Roy next to Christopher Eggert. Tyrone De Silva will line up next to Bali in row 4. Then it's Justin Snyder and Joshua Corwin in 9 and 10. Velasco will line up next to Jason Cotcher in row 6. Then it get a little scrollio here, Adam. Then it's Borden next to Navis, Lopez next to Wang, Van Wagner next to Deval, Cardenas next to Guyton, and Dillon next to Glasser in row 11, bringing up the rear and looking at the grid there. That is Leslie in the blue 243 car, kind of left center of your screen. So he will have the advantage on the inside there, heading down into turn 1. But cold tires, standing start here. We got to charge cleanly down that pit straight, get him woed up and turned into the lowest speed corner on the track. So job 1 is to get through turn 1 clean, or your heat race can go south out here in an awful hurry. And iRacing is going to force this start here probably in about 5 seconds. So there are the lights, and we are about to be underway in Hungary. And man, this is going to be a good one. And here we go. Leslie gets off pretty clean. Case, though, squeezing by on the outside there. According to my timing tower, it doesn't look right to me. Looks like Leslie still has it in that 243. No, that is Case. I'm sorry, I called that completely wrong. That was Case who had the inside line there, and he makes something happen and snatches that P1 away from Leslie. It is Case from Josh Green, from Josh Leslie, who's now fallen twice and now has another car checking him around the outside of turn 2. So Leslie, after putting in a huge effort to get that pole position secured, loses 2 positions right off the start.
Yeah, he's dropping like a stone. But obviously, second week in a row that we've had a new pole sitter. So congrats to Leslie. But now he's all the way down into it says P3, so he's moved back up a position. But you saw Stephen Case with a good jump there at the start of the race, and then you saw the battles going through, and that's what we're going to be able to watch. Turn 1, you can run 2 wide through there pretty successfully because it does open up. And so now we're on the back half of the circuit heading around, and we got a couple of tricky corners coming up.
And Case lighting the wick here quickly has already stretched that interval to green up to about 0.6. And Case doing what Case does. It is Case from Green, from Leslie, from Viceroy, from Poborji is your top 5, and not a lot of big movement right now, although it looks like we may have had an issue early on. It looks like Snyder and Velasco have drawn meatballs and may have taken toes into the pits. We'll go back and see if we can come up with a replay and see what happened to them. Snyder and Velasco both qualifying around the bottom of the top 10, and they are now taking the toes. So their their heat race wheels falling off here early. And let's see what happens here into turn 1 and see whether or not that slipstream can make anything happen. Not a lot of attacking going on right now into turn 1, and that's probably wise, Charles. It does take these tires a lap or 2 to get up to temperature, so probably good to take a breather and start planning your moves on the next lap.
Yeah, absolutely. Take a breath. Just get the tires up to the proper operating temp. Then we can go racing after that. So good start. Like I said, you talked about the one incident. Maybe we can get a replay here in a moment. If not, we'll see if we can get Adam off the ball there. Here we go, coming around, and we've got there we go. We've got the Lego car, the 347 car of Snyder. Oh yeah, just contact there coming through out of turn 2, and trying to move over to open up that entry for 3. And didn't quite realize what was going on there. Just maybe didn't realize there was a car on his outside, and Velasco and Snyder both back in the pits, and will be doesn't look like they're going to come back out. So if they do, yeah, just obviously not blind spot there. So tough break for those two. We'll see. I'm sure they'll be back out for the feature.
Yeah, and Velasco moving over there, and I would have liked to have been in his helmet to hear what his spotter was saying, if anything. And if he wasn't getting a call for a car on the left there, that spotter is fired. But Velasco usually towards the pointy end of the field here, and I know that he is gutted about how this one started. You don't want to be that guy who takes yourself and your buddy out here on lap 1 of the heat, but it has happened. Velasco collecting Justin Snyder there, and it looks like they are
Yeah.
maybe back underway, but a ton of work to do. It's not inconceivable they could get some of this back, but they're a lap down at this point. So tough start for those two. And up front, it is still guess who's Stephen Case from Green, from Leslie, and really not a lot of movement in the top 10 off of the start. It may be difficult to get passes done here, Charles, and this may be a preview of what we're going to see in the sprint race at the conclusion of this one.
Yeah, I think you're right. It may be that we don't get a lot of passing here, and it may be just kind of saving the stuff and feeling out the track, preparing for that feature race coming up. But we talked about the not really a lot of draft help here, so you're going to have to depend on your racing abilities with cars going wide there, and then as well as maybe some mistakes from some of the guys you're racing against. But so far, everything's going pretty well. There's Wang running in 15th. You see him trying to make up the stagger there to Jacob Guyton. This is a little tricky section here. 11, 12, and 13 always kind of gets me. It's just a very difficult section, kind of off-camber corners and a little bit of elevation change. You're climbing the hill a little bit, coming through 13 into 14, working around that final turn and back onto the front straight, and you see he's not really made up any time there. He's just kind of hanging tough and trying to just work his race.
Yeah, and some great camera work there by our producer Adam Thompson. And yeah, that turn 14 just seems to take forever. It is a carousel, and you just kind of have to keep maintenance throttle until you know that you can put the hammer down and not wash out wide there. But probably the most critical corner on the track there, 14, to get a good run down that pit straight. And there's Christopher Wang visiting the grass there. Leslie is off. And may have been some contact here. That left or that right rear tire looks a little janky to me. And Leslie, oh my goodness, almost doing a horrible re-entry there. Finally decides to wait. And Leslie plummeting all the way down to P19. That will cost him 18 positions. And don't have to be that good at math to figure that one out. But we'll see if we can get a replay here, see what happened with Leslie. And that is him in the 55 car coming around that tough turn 4. My goodness, just a little bit of curb there on the exit of turn 4 on that run up to turn 5 was enough to unsettle that car. And my goodness, that snapped so quick. I don't think Ayrton Senna could have caught that one. But Leslie, after putting that car on pole, is pretty much DFLing it among the first lap runners. And that will give certainly Jason Green a breather. So it's Case from Green, from Vicroy, from Poborgi, and Leslie all the way in P18. Ouch.
Yeah, it really hurts. He's got to slow down right now. He's trying to work off, but he has made it away Dylan. I think Dylan made a mistake and lost a couple positions, so he's made it up one position. But yeah, just lost the rear of the car, tried to correct it, overcorrected, and kind of reversed himself on the track. And then just trying to get it restarted in a hurry because he had a gap in the traffic and didn't want to lose all the positions, and just too much. You could tell with the rear tires overheated, it was just going to be difficult to get grip, and so spun it twice, and then had to just wait for the rest of the field to come through.
Yeah, and the field getting pretty spread out there. We talk about our color-coded timing tower over there. There's an awful lot of white on there right now, so could be a little preview of scattered field here in the future. We'll see what happens with that. But riding along now with Jose Navas there briefly, down 2 from his qualifying position. Usually see Navas a little closer to the front, but tell you what, Hungaroring, definitely a tough track to master. There's a lot of nuances, and it takes, I think, a significant amount of time to really get this one dialed in, Charles.
Yeah, I think you're right. And I was watching Vicroy, who's having a pretty good run so far. He's had a couple of weeks that was kind of subpar for him. And as we're going here with Poborgi looking around the outside, not going to do anything yet, but he's going to stay behind Vicroy there. He's made up that ground as Viceroy had to clear a slowdown. I think the key is they're getting that slowdown at around turn 10 or 11, and they're just kind of riding it out till they get to those last two hairpins, and just kind of bleeding the speed off there. So that seems to be the route to get that slowdown cleared on the back half of the circuit. Danush is really looking. He's trying to find a spot to get around. He's got some space in the car. He's had a couple of good runs the last few weeks, and so he wants to try and capitalize and maybe pick up another spot or two for the feature.
Yeah, Poborji has been finding his pace this season for sure. 2 podiums for him. Looks like he got a P2 at the Bend and also a P2 last week at the Red Bull Ring. So 2 podiums in a row for Danush, and showing some pace right now as he's polishing Viceroy's bumper and getting that gap down to kind of where he wants it. We'll see what kind of run he gets out of turn 14 here, but if he gets a good one, he's going to be in a position to maybe make something happen into turn 1. He definitely was looking last time, made Viceroy go defensive and cover the inside. So see what Danush has cooking right here. And here is the critical corner, turn 14. A little wide there by Viceroy. Danush putting down the hammer, and we'll watch that gap. And not as close as you might think, still 0.4. You can see the draft pulling it down a little bit, but not going to have a crack at it this time, I don't think.
No, I don't think so. And I think that is where Poborji getting really close here. He's going to try and get the run out of 1. I think Viceroy's had a pretty good plan there. That wide run enabled him to keep a little more pace in the car and have it for the straightaway, and that really kept Poborji behind as Poborji looked to the inside and took it really close there with Borden losing the front end just a little bit, catching the car, but good catch there. As that front end kind of washed out in behind the car of Adrian Lopez. So nice job by Borden there.
Yeah, Borden flogging that thing to death as you see him hanging it sideways a couple of corners in a row. And it's fun. It looks cool, but not sustainable. You can go overheat the tires on these things pretty quickly, which turns into a vicious cycle. Every corner you slide it in can lead to trouble on the next corner. And there's Chris Wang. And note to self, no hard braking on that painted line there on the entry to turn 1. That's what caused that car to snap. And Wang's probably wondering what the hell happened, but the result is he drops down to P18, a loss of 2. And how are we doing on time? Time ticking down here in this heat. Laps going by pretty quickly. Just a little under 4 minutes remaining here. It is Case from Green, from Viceroy, from Poborji, from Eggert up front. And remember, this result here in the heat race will set our grid for the feature race upcoming here on Slow Motion Broadcasting. So Case proving the class of the field once again. He has somehow stretched that interval to 2 full seconds in just 11 minutes, Charles. And I'm ready. I'm ready anytime for your defense of a inverted top 8 here in SRG F3, which is something I give Charles a hard time about whenever I can. But Case absolutely driving off here, and got a little, I think we got a replay coming of looks like Bali here going down the inside, and no defense there whatsoever. I think that was De Silva there giving him the Olay into turn 1. So a nice move by Bali. That'll put him up into P6 out of P8. So 2 positions gained for Varun.
Yeah, Varun having a good run, up 2 spots. Adrian Lopez up 6, Jacob Guyton up 7. Those guys have had great runs, starting a little bit further back, but doing a really good job of making up some positions and setting themselves up nicely for the feature race. So watch De Silva as he's trying to hang on to the back of Bali after that pass. He's got Josh Corwin closing him down, so might not be over for these guys just yet, as we've only got a couple laps left, though. So if they're going to do something, they're going to do it in a hurry.
Yeah, probably 2 or 3 remaining. I think Case just crossed the line, so we might get 3 out of this one. And a little 55 peeking down the inside there. That's Josh Leslie peeking inside of Adam Duvall as he attempts to continue his climb out of the basement. He's recovered 2 of those positions, currently sitting in P17. Yeah, Leslie racy here. Nothing really to lose at this point. There's not a big difference between P17 and DFL for Leslie at this point. So he might as well try to make something happen if he has a move to make. He's riding along with him, looking ahead at Duvall. And my spidey sense is telling me he's stuffing it down the inside and gets it done. Oh, my goodness. Elbows out. Duvall, lucky to keep that one from turning over as Duvall goes flying there on the outside of turn one. We'll take another look at that. Duvall may have turned in on him there. Leslie definitely had position.
Oh, he locked up.
Oh, and yeah, Leslie may have washed out there under braking and kind of unexpectedly gone outside into Duvall there. So tough break for Duvall. He wasn't putting up any defense. He clearly was wanting to let Leslie through. And here it is again in slow motion. And if you're Duvall, you're expecting... Oh, there we go. So, yeah, Leslie starts to get a little bit sideways, saves it, but kind of washes out into Duvall. Duvall probably could have left a little bit more space on the inside there, though, but that one costly for Duvall. And where does he end up after that? I don't even see him.
Duvall,
he's back down to P18, so
P18
not super costly, but certainly got his heart rate going, I'm sure, there, Charles.
Yeah, Duvall with the meatball, and then Leslie has got a black flag, so he's hit the incident limit here in the heat race. So he's going to have to come down and serve that penalty, that drive-through. Otherwise, he's going to get added on to the end, which is basically going to make him P19 on the grid for the feature race. Obviously, he's not going to drop behind the two cars that are laps down, but he'll be the last car on the lead lap should he decide not to come in.
My goodness, and things going from bad to worse for Josh Leslie right after he turns in his best qualifying effort of this season, his first season here in F3, and turning into a massive struggle here at the Hungaroring. You see that black flag next to his name on our SDK timing tower on the left-hand side of your screen there. But up front, Case has driven away, dropped Jason Green to the tune of about 4 seconds. Green, meanwhile, has got a train building up behind him, riding along with Vicroy, looking ahead at Green. That's about a 3/10 gap, and behind Vicroy, Poborski about 8/10 back, and Eggert about 7/10 back. So expecting the white flag this time around, and Vicroy is going to have to drive some defense to hang on here. And scratch that, it is the checker. That was the white flag lap that we were just watching. So it looks like it is going to be Case from Green, from Vicroy, from Poborski, from Eggert. That's your top five. And of course, we'll run through the rest of the order when we review the grid for the feature. So, Charles, interesting stuff there, a little messier than I was expecting. And another thing that stands out, you pointed out a couple of hard chargers, Lopez up 6, Jacob Guyton up 7. Now, Guyton being further back may have been the beneficiary of some of these incidents, but Lopez to move up 6 into P9, there had to have been some legit passes in there. So my earlier postulation that it would be tough to get moves done around here may not be correct, as Lopez may have demonstrated there for us.
Yeah, I think by and large, though, it's been it was only 1 or 2 for most cars, so it's probably a little difficult. But yeah, we talked about this. It's being a very technical track, so for it to be a little scuffy out there does not surprise me. It's a very tough track to drive. Especially when we talk about the fact that these SRG drivers that go into the studio to do these races only have really the little bit of practice and then the 1 hour qualifying session to kind of get their feet up under them to get ready for this race. So probably not the easiest track in the world to master in an hour.
Yeah, not easy unless your name is Stephen Case, completely dominated. And looking at the fast laps from that heat race, he was 6 or 7 tenths ahead of the second fastest runner out there. So after 25 minutes, Case is going to be hitting the back of the grid during the future, without a doubt. But speaking of Case, let's go ahead and take a look at your championship standings here through 5 weeks. It is Stephen Case with a stranglehold, almost 100 points, my goodness, above Jason Green. And it makes sense. Case has won 5 out of 5 to begin this season. Then it's Jason Green and Danush Poborji rounding out your podium, followed by Eggert, Conway, Bali, Corwin, De Silva, Wang, and Lopez. And I'll let you read the rest of those on your own. But the championship standings, Case absolutely dominant here in F3. So if you know anybody that's good at these cars, have them go on to Sim Racers Group website and get signed up, get out here and give them something to do out here. Here are your team championship standings now. In P1, the L10 Racing Team, predictably that is Stephen Case and Aaron Van Wagner. Then JGJS, bit of a shakeup here this week, Charles. That's Green and Snyder. They're up 1. Who's my teammate? That is Poborji and Dillon. They are up 3 positions into P3. Then the Dad Tax Racing Team of Corwin and Lopez, they have dropped 2. And Team Labubu there in P5 is Bali and Labivy. And I'll let you go through the rest of those on your own. But a little bit of a shakeup after a couple of messy races in a row. But the commonality between both of those lists is that Stephen Case, both on an individual and team basis, has an absolute stranglehold on this one after 5 weeks. We're going to run 12 with 2 drops, but doesn't look like anybody is going to have a crack at Case.
No, and you're making it. Your argument gets a little stronger every week for inverted grid. But
what was that?
Your case gets stronger. I didn't say I was agreeing with you by any stretch of imagination.
Can I get that in writing?
I mean, you go back and clip it later if you want to. You'll have it in audio. It's I've just had so many bad experiences with inverted grids that just every time people mention it, it's like, no, I don't want to do that. I just
not the whole grid, Charles. I'm talking the top 5 or top 8.
Yeah,
I think.
I mean, even the top 8 is still. We've talked about it. We mentioned this a couple of weeks ago that we've only had 4 drivers finish on the podium this season. So you've got a pretty dominant top 5 or so. And then, not to say that these guys are bad drivers, but there's a little bit of a skill gap, after the top 5 down through the rest of the field, and they're getting better every week. We always talk about how the grid just keeps getting tighter and tighter. There's a lot more fighting in the mid pack week in and week out. The gaps are closing down, but there's still a gap, and so you're taking a guy that's probably a second off the pace and putting it up at the front of the field, and not expecting some fireworks is asking a lot. That's my opinion.
Well, valid arguments on both sides, although I will point out we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 drivers who have podiumed in 5 weeks previous competition, and that's just proof that Charles doesn't read the notes that I prepare prior to our broadcast. But we are in the middle of the warm-up right now. It's showing checkered at 4 minutes. Okay, I thought it was 5, but hopefully Adam will be back from his bio break in a second and make something happen with these cameras, and we'll get this feature race underway. We'll have the starting grid for you here in a moment. And
we can read the timing tower. That'll be as good as anything if you want to do it that way.
We could. I wanted I had one more opportunity to give you a hard time about the inverted top of the grid. I wanted the actual grid graphic so that we could see what those intervals were, but Adam's still not back. So here we go. We're iRacing in the 4th to start. We've still got time. There it is. Sweet. Okay. So just for argument's sake, oh my goodness, you're right. That's the What are those intervals? Those make
That's
no
the
sense
gap.
to me.
That's the finishing gap after
That's
the
the
heat
finishing
race.
gap, but not the lap time. All right. Well, that doesn't help. But anyway, here is your starting grid for our next event, the 25-minute feature. It's Case lining up next to Jason Green, then Vic Roy next to Poborji. Eggert will line up next to Bali in row 3. Then it's De Silva next to Corwin, Lopez next to David Borden, and Jason Cotcher next to Aaron Van Wagner in row 6. And then it'll be Jacob Guyton next to Jose Naves, Cardenas next to Wang, and bang, we are underway. And Case once again gets a very good start. It's Case from Green from Vicroy heading down into turn 1, and a longer race here, kids. Let's everybody take a breath. Let's not do anything crazy. And there goes Vicroy. Vicroy has been turned. He had some help there. I didn't like what was brewing there. 3 wide into turn 1. We'll show you what happened here in a second. But Vicroy getting turned there with help from behind. So it's Case from Green from Eggert. And meanwhile, what did that cost Vicroy? Where is he right now?
He's in the pits. He's towed back.
Oh, so he may have had an incident that required a tow. So Vicroy's race really taking a turn for the worse. And I'm here to tell you that was not his fault. And we will show you that in a bit. So Vicroy cannot be happy about that. Got turned, picked up some damage, took the meatball, and had to take a tow. Damage on here if you're used to our Formula 4 broadcast where damage is off, but it is on. So got to be careful with these F3 cars, especially on lap 1 of a 25-minute race. Ouch. That really hurts, Charles.
It really does, as we see a couple of cars getting slowdowns through the chicane. And we're going to get that start replay here coming up. And there we go. And we get Vicroy sitting in the middle of the track coming down in. You got the 23 car moving to the inside and just gets looped around. I don't know if there was contact there or not, or if maybe it was just a lockup. We'll have to get a different view of that. We're going to get a different angle, see what we can see here. And that's the 23 car Poborji coming down to the inside, and just around he goes. Yeah, maybe there's a lockup there, but I present to you my strongest argument against an inverted grid.
Yeah, I'd like to see that one more time from Poborji's cockpit, maybe. Adam, if you can make that happen.
Yes.
Oh, no touch there.
Yep.
Too right. It sure looked like he had a little tap there, but locked up on cold tires and just snapped. And here it is from Poborji's cockpit. And apologies to Poborji fans. Yeah, that was completely Han Solo spin there into turn 1 on cold tires off the start. And Hungaroring notorious for problems there off the start, particularly on a standing start on ice cold tires. So too bad for Vicroy, but nobody to blame but himself right there. And it looks like we've got another replay. See Jason Cotcher is going to try to make something happen here. Speaking of turn 1 mayhem, and Cotcher saw a blink of daylight there, tried to go 3 wide into turn 1. The Red Seas closed in front of him, and he locked it up to avoid contact there. But Cotcher doing a good job in avoiding problems there. Here it is from Dylan with a popcorn seat, and Cotcher trying to thread the needle and thinks, uh-oh, that's not going to work. Gets heavily into the brakes, and that actually worked out much better than it could have for Jason.
Yeah, absolutely. With no contact, that is the best thing that could have happened there. And I'm going to throw a theory out there. And I've seen 2 or 3 of those little spins like that, the insta spin going down into turn 1. I'm wondering if they're maybe just getting on the downshift a little bit too much, and they're getting diff locks coming down into that corner as well. And I think that may be what's actually rotating these cars around. It just kind of looks like it's such a sudden thing. You don't really see the big lockups with the wheels stopping. You just kind of see the car just looping itself. And I'm just kind of wondering if maybe there's just a little too hard on the downshifts.
That is a great point, Charles, and a fixed setup race here. These cars, you can probably make some adjustments to the differential clutches, probably in both directions, but not here. You gotta eat what they feed you, and maybe a little bit too aggressive lockup on D-cell, and that would make perfect sense. Those cars are kind of snapping very, very suddenly on D-cell, so excellent point there. All right, and we're getting some insider information here that brake bias adjustment may be involved as well, and we talk about that occasionally, Charles. That
Mhm.
brake bias can be adjusted on the fly, even with a fixed setup race. And if you're just learning how to deal with these cars, you got to have that on your wheel and not be afraid to make adjustments when they're required. So that rear brake bias might be part of it as well. And Stephen Case with the heater there's thrown down a 136.4. Green doing a good job here, though, hanging on to the back of him, only 8 tenths ahead to Case, and Eggert hanging on as well. So a couple of our frequent flyers up front is kind of hanging together and trying to stick with Case, and doing a good job so far. And there is a big move. There's that 55 car making a huge move down the inside. That is Josh Leslie. And remember, he was the pole sitter in the heat and has the pace out here and is trying to make something happen. Leslie has moved up into P12, up 5 positions, and a couple hard chargers. Velasco up 9, Chris Wang up 9 as well. So a lot of movement right here in the feature early, as folks are recognizing that when their cars are packed together in traffic off the start like this, maybe their only opportunity to make something happen, and they are making some moves happen here early.
Yeah, they are, and that's a great battle amongst these drivers. Would mention that Adrian Lopez is in the pits. He had a meatball flag, so he's came down and served that. So I'm going to guess it was a wing adjustment or a wing of some type, because it was only a 6.5 second stop, and he's back out. So minor adjustments, but enough that the iRacing steward said you need to come in and repair it. So he's in as we get this battle continuing on with Leslie moving to the inside there to get around the 64 car of Guyton. It's a nice little dive to the inside, and that's a nice job on the brakes to get the car around and make that pass. Nicely done.
And Guyton getting swamped right now, and what a move. Who was in front of Leslie? That was Velasco. What a move by Velasco in that 10-11 complex, forced his way through there side by side and dispatched Guyton, and Leslie was waiting behind to do the same. And at this point, Guyton has Justin Snyder behind him right now. Guyton showing up 1, but he's got drivers attacking him on all sides.
Yeah, he really does. So we're getting this replay here with Velasco making that fantastic move through the corners, and that is a good thing about this. This track is at least wide enough to where you can run too wide through most of the track. Obviously, the chicane, not one of those positions, one of those places, but everywhere else you can, as we see Cardenas there attacking the 24 car of Dylan. Watch Dylan. I'm just kind of seeing him pop up on the timing tower, struggling with the track limits here today. Just see slowdown after slowdown. So I don't know if it's a specific corner, maybe the chicane, but it just seems like every time I'm looking at him, he's got the yellow flag beside his name, meaning that he's stretched the track limits too far. As we're moving up here to David Borden. Running in P5, up 5 positions. So he took advantage of that early incident at the beginning and was able to get through there successfully. Has made a nice charge up into the top 5.
Yeah, and off tracks definitely could play a role. We did see a DQ early. One of those was for contact, of course. And I'm not going to name any names here, and with the caveat that our timing software is notoriously inaccurate with off tracks. Let me tell you what I'm seeing. There's a driver in the top 5 that's showing 9. There's a driver in the top 2 drivers in the top 10 showing 7 off tracks here already, and somebody in the bottom half of the field showing 10. So they are racking up in a hurry. We're not even a third of the way through this one. So Hungaroring is racking up those 1Xs, racking them up in a hurry, and we may end up seeing some penalties before this one's over.
Yeah, absolutely. There was Chris Wang up 9 positions, so having a great run with 7X, and but he's hanging in there, running in P7. So is this one of these that is easy to clean up once you realize where you are. So once you notice that there's a pattern evolving, that can be changed. You might lose a tenth here or there as you tighten up a corner to make sure that you stay within the limits. But it's easy enough to do, and then you'll finally get the hang of the new rhythm and be able to pick that time back up. As we see Josh Leslie there with the slowdown, finally cleared. So he's up to yeah. So Jason Green there with 10X, and which is kind of odd for Jason. Jason usually pretty good driver as far as knowing the track limits and able to keep the car within them. So maybe there's a hidden 4X in there somewhere that we haven't seen.
Well, and I'll tell you, it's like I said, I'm not going to name any names, but our producer Adam is going to name them. So there you see him, and I also know that our software is a little flaky in this regard. That might not be 100% accurate, but this is one of those tracks where the racing surface in many places is way outside the white line, and all you need to do is kind of have one tire still touching the white line. The rest of the car can be over the line, and that's in a number of places out here, and it's kind of what you have to do to get the fast laps and be at the sharp end of the field here. And we'll see Green sure looks, by our numbers, like he is in jeopardy here, along with a couple other drivers, and we'll certainly keep an eye on that for you. But about 10 minutes in, 15 to go. It's Case from Green, from Eggert, from Bally, from Borden up front, and look at Borden up 5. Great drive from him. Chris Wang up 9. Velasco up 11. Velasco, one of the drivers having problems in the heat, and he has lit the wick and has got something to prove that he belongs in the top 10, and he's got more coming with 14 minutes remaining.
Guys,
Yeah,
I had to
absolutely.
break the door down real quick. Sorry. I mean, you guys got to padlock this thing or something. I just want to mention something real quick here. Even though my man, Jason Green, is already riding on 11X, Jason, be better, first of all. Second of all, I want to shout out whoever made the paint job. That beautiful lime green paint job for that car is gorgeous, and that man needs a raise. So, Charles, if you know who that was, just lean on Jason a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely. And I will say, Adam, don't break your arm patting yourself on the back there, buddy. So, yeah, no, it is a good looking paint job. You did a great job with it, and obviously Jason's going to rock the green. But I will say this. Let me throw this out there as far as our timing and scoring software. The reason that it has to guess about these off tracks is because that data is not available through iRacing unless you're an administrator in the session. And since we don't see that information until the session's over with to get a true count. So it does the best it can with what it knows as we get the battle here between David Borden and Josh Corwin, really putting the hammer down. Is moving up and is looking like he's going to try and make a move here as he's about 2 to 3 tenths back, gets through the chicane nice and cleanly, and so now he can attack the back half of this circuit.
Yeah, some great camera work here as we ride along with Josh looking ahead at Borwin. You can see that 4/10 interval, and kind of curious what they do down here, Charles. This turn 12, you can take a huge bite out of the inside right here, but these guys might want to be staying off of it. Yeah, they're kind of leaving that alone. There's a lot of track on the exit right there as well. So there's some time these drivers are leaving on the table right now in order to avoid those X's. And excellent point about our software kind of extrapolating those X's, the X's that we showed you earlier. They are not official. So a lot of them, it could even be most of them are invalid. But here is Corwin. Watch that draft go to work. Watch that interval drop. Corwin will try the over-under here. And Borden just able to close it off. And Borden doing a good job anticipating that inside-out move there. But Corwin not done. Look at that look on his face down in the lower left-hand corner of your screen. That is the look he has on his face right now. And Borden knows that. Borden driving in his rearview mirrors. Corwin all over him like the plastic on Grandma's couch.
Yeah, that's his race face, and he's all primed, ready to make that. And we got an overtake here. We've got Guyton, we've got Cotcher, we've got Snyder there. Nice 3-car battle here. Is looks like maybe Guyton's slipping down just a little bit more as he gets through there. Cotcher making his way through, moving up another position into P11. And Snyder now looking to see if he can capitalize on that as well with the 4-car of Novice right behind it. And we get a crash, I think. Yep, we're going to see a crash here from Poborgi going down into turn 1. And just strange that these little half spins there, but no contact with anybody, just loses himself about 3 or 4 seconds there of track position. As Stephen Case now has started to turn the wick up just a bit, opened that gap up to 1.6 over Green. Eggert starting to look racy. He's always kind of been really good in the last half of the race, so we're going to see him really start to put some pressure on Jason.
Yeah, and the more of those little kind of half spins I see down there, Charles, in the entry to turn one, the more I like your theory about downshifting there. And it could be that that's one of those corners where you drop it into second, feet out of the pedals, and coast across the apex before putting the power down, and kind of approach that one with caution. There's very little to gain and a lot to lose by overcooking that entry down there into turn one, especially if you're by yourself. But here we are looking at Eggert all over Green right there, and boom, there is a big one there. That is Van Wagner. Looks like he has collected Jacob Guyton, possibly. We'll have to go back and look at that. And here is the aftermath. Van Wagner showing us how those cars drive with no rear arrow. Wow.
Not a great rejoint at all. And the other car there of Guyton just, nowhere to go. But you can see already had damage from something else and was missing his rear wing. And we're going to get a ride along as we watch this wreck in real time here with Guyton. Oh, no. Oh.
Wow. And yeah, that's my enduro teammate there, Jacob Guyton, who is a magnet for mayhem here tonight. Nothing he could have done about that. And I'll tell you what, Van Wagner on his way to the principal's office after that one, because Cotcher is going to have something to say about that reentry. We should not see that ever here with these F3 cars. So really, really tough stuff for Guyton. So with about 10 minutes remaining, Charles, it is Case from Green, from Eggert. And what do we start talking about on these tight tracks with about 10 minutes remaining? Tire wear. This is where people who have not taken care of their tires are going to start to go off. It can happen in one of two ways. You see them washing out on entry, or having a hard time putting the power down, exiting some of these slow corners. And Borden somehow still holding off Corwin, but how much longer can he hold off Corwin? Corwin's still all over him.
Yeah, and he looked to the inside there, and Borden just kind of cut that off very aggressively, I might add. But now Corwin has made that gap back up. The gap's about 4/10, and he just closes a little bit more every corner as they get further down. I was watching this last time we watched this battle. Corwin was a little strong on the loud pedal coming through these last two corners. So I have to keep an eye on that. It's real easy to turn that car around here in the last two hairpins. So you got to be very careful getting back on throttle, because otherwise he's going to lose the rear end of that car, and that's probably not going to help his tire wear just from the simple fact of just kind of sliding around the corners. As we did see Cardenas come in, he has served his black flag for incident points, so you can see the difference there. Only 9X showing on our screen, but he hits a 13, so he has already served his drive-through and is back out, but obviously down in P16.
Yeah, and Corwin, you're absolutely right, needs to think about those rears. And as the tire model continually evolves here on iRacing, one of the things that they've really done a good job doing, in my opinion, is showing how the tires deal with heat buildup. As you abuse the tires in successive corners, the grip drops off more and more until you lose it completely. So they're doing a very good job with that part of dealing with race tires, and we're seeing a little bit with Corwin there. And I think he has backed out of it just a little bit to let those tires recover as he plans his next attack. Plenty of time left here, about 6 minutes remaining, and he's still doing a good job hanging there with Borden's got that gap under 0.4.
Yep, still closing that gap down ever so slightly. And I think he's just kind of looking. I think he's found a couple of places where he may be maybe a little bit quicker than Borden, but not able to capitalize on it yet. But maybe he's lulling him to sleep here. He's just kind of hanging back and waiting for Borden to just kind of be a little easy on it, and then he'll make his move. But we'll keep an eye on that as that gap still tightens up. Now we're back with Borgi running in P12. So obviously not the race he wanted after a good heat race, down 8 positions as he's trying to get through here this big pack from Silva up to Cotcher, or Snyder, I should say, with Cotcher kind of setting sail a little bit, a couple of seconds ahead.
Yeah, a little train there for me. That is for P9. That's Snyder from Velasco, from De Silva, from Poborgi, and Corwin still here, kind of taking a breather. And you know what, Charles? He sees that relative, and he sees that Borden is his only real target. If he gets past Borden, his next target is about 8 seconds up the track with 4 minutes remaining. Probably not realistic. So he needs to kind of pick his battle and pick where he's going to attack. He's probably only going to get 1 or 2 cracks at it here. So Corwin being smart right here, kind of laying in wait. Ooh, as you see Borden kind of over-rotating a little bit there into that chicane. So Corwin likes to see that, and he may see an opportunity developing in front of him. And we'll jump back with Poborgi looking forward at De Silva, Velasco, and Snyder. Again, that little train for P9. And yeah, as Charles said, Poborgi put in a pretty good drive in the heat and had problems here early and wants to make up for that the best he can. And now back with Corwin, and Borden able to stretch that out a little bit right here. And as I said, it all depends on the exit here out of turn 14. See if Corwin can close him down any right here. Borden looking a little wide right there to me. And yeah, that gap dropped precipitously there down to 0.4. And we'll watch that slipstream go to work. It's 0.4 ticking down. It's into the 0.3s now. Not quite close enough yet, but you know Borden is keeping his eye on the review mirror and keeping his eye on that number 37.
Yeah, it looks like they're picking up about 1/10 of a second down that straightaway, being in the draft up close. And you see just kind of looking, he's kind of running a little bit of an alternate line there through 2 and into 3. So he's just still looking around. I think he just needs to settle in here. And my guess would be back it off before you get to chicane. So get yourself a run, stay a little bit further back into 5, and then get the run down into the chicane and try and make your move there. Because it seems like he's got a good bit of pace advantage here in the first half of the track. We see the battle here with Velasco, Snyder still going on, and Velasco all over the tail end of that Lego car.
Wow, Velasco applying tons of pressure. Is he going to try the outside right there? That would have been nuts. And De Silva and Poborgi right there as well, ready to move up if things turn tragic between Velasco and Snyder. So some excellent fighting there for P9. And Charles, that's one of the things I love about covering these races. When these guys get in these packs like this, they are competing for P9 like they're competing for P1. And that's the kind of great driving that we see out of Sim Racers Group week in and week out.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Great drives by these drivers from first to last. Is everybody's got bad days. And speaking of bad days, Josh Leslie just picked up the black flag, so he'll have to serve his drive through, and he needs to do it on this lap. Unfortunately, he's going to have to serve that now because we're coming down to the end of the race, and you cannot serve that on the final lap, or it's a time penalty. So if he wants to be able to at least maybe stay ahead of Lopez, at least that one position. We see Velasco moving to the outside here, going down into turn 1. Yep.
And Velasco tries the outside there. It is doable, but you have to break fairly deep right there. And Velasco not quite able to get it done. Snyder still clinging to that P9. And meanwhile, up front, check out Chris Eggert, who has cranked down. Jason Green has been applying steady pressure on him. I've been watching that gap over the last couple laps. It's been hovering around 0.3, and Eggert knows that it is go time right now, and we'll go ahead. We're going to be jumping madly back and forth here down the stretch. We're back to that Snyder, Velasco, Poborgi, De Silva fight, and you got to think sometimes, Charles, these things kind of go south when, for example, Velasco and that 777 car just gets sick of looking at the back of that Lego car in front and forces the issue unless he gets a little loose there and lets Poborsky through. And my goodness, that is something else that can happen. You're focused so much ahead, it causes you to make a small mistake. And Poborsky trying to take advantage. Oh, an almost contact there. And now the same thing can happen to Poborsky as De Silva is allowed through. So massive shuffling there in that epic battle for P9 that's been going on. Great stuff.
Yeah, and meanwhile,
Whoa. Yeah,
white
and
flag,
more of the
white flag in
same.
the air.
Yeah, the white flag is out, and that was a little hargy-bargy almost between Poborsky and De Silva there. A little tap there. I think that was De Silva on the outside that caught that big slide coming out of turn 14. So great driving there. Respectful, close driving. Those little bumps like that don't bother me a bit. That means you're racing and you want it. So good driving there, and we'll jump back to Green and Eggert. White flag is out again, and I'll tell you, Eggert has not really been able to do much in terms of reducing that gap. His lap times have been within 100th or 2 of Green for 5 or 6 successive laps. So Eggert able to match Green's pace, but not able to close down that gap. So probably going to take a breath here and collect those podium points for P3. And it was a great drive by Chris, but got to think that Stephen Case, Adam, is up front. There he goes, coming onto that pit straight for the last time. And Stephen Case, shocker of shockers, has won again. That is going to be 6 in a row for Case. He'll be followed across the line by Green and Eggert. And for Green, that will be his 5th podium. For Eggert, will be his 2nd podium. And interesting stuff here in at the Hungaroring, Charles. Great race, a little bit messy at times, but it is a very, very difficult technical track that requires a lot of commitment and frankly a lot of risk taking to get some hot laps in. So, and we saw some great driving out of these guys. And here comes that next trade. That's Cotcher from Snyder, Velasco, Poborsky, De Silva. And look at those intervals. And Poborsky crosses the line with the black flag. That's what you were talking about, Charles.
Yeah.
You cannot serve it. It is over. That is going to be a significant time penalty. So Poborsky is not going to get that P11. He's probably going to get at least 40 seconds off of that, which is going to put him at the bottom of the cars on the lead lap. So he'll finish somewhere behind Leslie probably. Between Leslie and Dylan.
Cardenas. Yeah, it's going to be right around that 15 to 17 range.
And speaking of Dylan,
40 seconds, and there comes Leslie around.
Yeah, Dylan gets also the black flag as well. Yep.
So that'll help Poborsky. Sadly, we hate to laugh about it, but it's just that is one of the things. In our racing, that's just it's a killer mentally, because obviously there's nothing you can do about it, and just once you get that black flag on the last lap, you just have to say, okay, I just have to deal with it, and here's our final results.
Yeah, and that is the tough thing about iRacing. They have to enforce track boundaries somehow, but as anybody who spent time on the real track, nobody is out there with a micrometer measuring whether or not you're a millimeter outside of that white line and giving you a penalty for it. It just doesn't happen in real life, but it happens here at iRacing, and you got to adjust your driving accordingly. But here are your results. Stephen Case drives away a gaudy 3.2 second gap ahead of Jason Green in P2. Then it's Chris Eggert rounding out the podium in P3. Varun Bali will come in 4th. Borden in 5th after a great drive, holding off a vicious Joshua Corwin assault. Josh will come across the line in 6th. Then it's Christopher Wang, Jason Cotcher, Justin Snyder, and Alex Velasco rounding out the top 10. Then it'll be De Silva, Navas, Duvall, Cardenas, and Poborsky after that penalty does finish on the lead lap, but just barely, with Josh Leslie behind him, who also racked up a couple penalties. Then it's Dylan in P17. Adrian Lopez will finish in P18. Then it's Guyton, Van Wagner, Vicroy, and Glasser. And my Enduro partner Guyton there getting absolutely creamed off the track by a horrible re-entry choice by one of his fellow competitors. So don't like to see that. But there are your results. And taking a quick peek outside here, let's see who, if anybody, is lingering around in the green room. to come in and chat with us. And it looks like we got a couple drivers here, and we'll go ahead and start with Jason Green. Jason, great drive today. I won't call it a track day because I know you're under pressure from behind by Eggert for probably the last 10 minutes of that one. Great gap management, though. You managed to keep Eggert about 0.3 behind, and you finished in P2 after qualifying P2. So what did you think of the race at the Hungaroring?
Yeah, I'm pleasantly surprised how well I did. I'm usually really, really bad at this track, so I was pretty happy I was able to stay more or less with Steve. Just didn't really have the consistency to stay right on his bumper and, wait for a mistake. He made a couple of mistakes, couple of lockups, but yeah, just wasn't close enough to capitalize. Just outside of the sweet spot of draft range, like 0.5 behind. So, but yeah, and then Chris was definitely faster. I was definitely having to defend for pretty much the entire race there. So I think in a different car, he probably would have easily passed me, but I was able to use kind of the dirty air and kind of park a little bit on some of the apexes to kill his run. So yeah, it was a good clean race from him, and very, very stressful.
Yeah, and your pace was actually right on with Eggert. I think your fast laps were probably in the hundredths of a second apart from each other, and lap after lap, you were lapping within a couple hundredths of each other down the stretch there. He was right with you enough to get you thinking about it, but never really got close enough to make a move on you. So very good drive, Jason. And you mentioned that this is a track that you've struggled with in the past and felt good about how today went. So what was the difference? If you have any preparation tips or anything for people who have a hard time around here?
Oh, no idea. I don't know why I was relatively on pace, to be honest. I think I did like 6 laps of practice yesterday, and I got tired of practicing it, so I really didn't prepare at all for this race. I expected it to go horribly. So yeah, that's preparation tip. Don't prepare.
Well, I'll tell you that there actually might be a nugget of wisdom in there, because I think if you grind too much heading into one of these, that you can be burned out by race time, and it will cost you pace. So you might have discovered something about yourself there, Jason. So, all right. Well, thanks so much for stopping by. Congratulations again on a great drive into P2. And as we wrap up, is there anyone that you would like to thank or give a shout out to tonight?
Yeah, shout out to Adam Thompson. He's the best. That's all I have to say.
Oh, you're so
Right.
nice.
Yeah, and we did get some comments on the phenomenal livery on that 160 car as well. Speaking of Mr. Thompson, if I can bring that up one more time. But that is Jason Green, and Jason, we'll see you next week.
Thanks, JR.
All righty. All right, let's see who else is lingering around up here. Why don't we go ahead and bring in David Borden for you, Charles. And right. David, of course, finishing in P5 with Josh Corwin all over him like a bad habit.
Yeah, absolutely. David, congratulations on the P5 in the feature race. And you had we watched you for several laps. You had a really great battle there with Josh Corwin, and did some really great defensive driving to keep him behind you for seemingly half the race. David, are you with us?
Yeah, sorry about that.
That's okay. No, it's all right. So,
yeah. Only half the race. It felt like a bit more than that.
It was a pretty intense battle. Joshua did a really good job of trying to attack in maybe some places that you weren't expected. But once again, you did a great job to throw a block when you needed to, and to keep it behind you, and end up getting that top 5 tonight.
Yeah, it's pretty exciting. And thank you very much to Joshua for racing clean. I appreciate it.
Yeah, so we talked about a little bit about this track. It's being one of the more technical tracks in our racing. Was there any place in particular that you felt like that you were just maybe behind some of the guys that were, as far as maybe your pace in certain areas, or there's any place you struggled in particular?
Yeah, the first corner for sure, and then the corner leading onto the straight. I started to figure out a few things, I think, through the race, but yeah, these faster guys, I'm not quite sure where they're getting the time. It's probably just a lot of experience.
Yeah, that might have something to do with it as well. So next week will be at Olton Park. So what are your thoughts about that track?
I like the track. I've never driven this car on that track, but it's a lot of fun, at least in the GT cars that I've driven on.
Absolutely. Well, David, thank you very much for stopping in, and congrats on the top 5 tonight. And we'll let you give any thanks or shout outs before we let you go.
Yeah, thanks very much. Shout out to my wife. We are celebrating our 31st wedding anniversary. So,
wow, that's a commitment right there. Great job.
It is.
Congratulations.
It is, and we're still happy, believe it or not.
Oh, that's even better.
Yeah.
All right, David. Thanks.
Great, thanks, you guys.
Thank you, and we'll see you next week.
All right, take care. Bye.
All right, that was David Borden, who treated us to a fantastic fight there with Joshua Corwin that he was talking about. And next, I'll go ahead and bring in a man that had top 10 pace out here tonight and could not avoid the flaming barrels. So, Jacob, I don't even know what to say. Maybe you do, so I'll just let you have the floor.
I don't know. It came up as fast as it did for everyone else. I kind of locked up, and I just saw a car cross my field of view, and all of a sudden I had no front end. But no hard feelings, really. Shout out to Aaron, just real quick. All good, brother. Stuff happens. Sorry.
Jacob, Adam Thompson here. Don't worry about it. You can say shit. I say shit, so it's fine. Adam Thompson here. I seem to remember a while back there was another car crossing your field of view in an F4 race. I believe that may have been at Watkins Glen. Do you remember that by any chance?
First of all, I feel like I've just seen a ghost, but second of all, I'm not recalling that event. I remember it was an absolute river.
Oh, yeah, that's true. That's true. That's fair. That's fair. But just know that I prepared you for this moment tonight.
Got it. I think I can pick up on that. But yeah, no, it was a fun race tonight.
The golden tones of Adam Thompson are wasted in the production facility. I'll tell you that right now. A voice and a face for radio, I understand. So, Jacob, tonight definitely, obviously didn't go as you wanted, but looking ahead, what do I? Oh, I don't have the right track. I have Hungaroring. So, if you know what the next track is, Oh, Olton Park. Oh, that's going to be awesome. So tell us if you have any thoughts about prep for the phenomenal old school UK track, Olton Park.
It's been a minute since I've been on Olton. Probably back when I was first racing on iRacing and the MX-5 Cup. So I'm excited to revisit a classic. I think MX-5's raced there. I don't remember really.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's going to be awesome. I think it'll be really well suited to these cars. And whenever Olton Park comes up on a schedule that I'm commentating on, I definitely circle it with gold stars. So I'm looking forward to it. And I know that you guys will have a great time out there. And thanks for stopping by and sharing your thoughts with us. And the very gracious shout out to Aaron there. And as we wrap up, is there anyone you would like to thank or give a shout out to today?
Yeah, shout out to my girlfriend who always watches and is running the rookie SRG league. So if you want to join the league, get in that rookie league. Shout out to my dad and my Uncle Perry for watching tonight from Utah. And as always, thank you SRG for having me, and thank you SMB for putting us on for everyone to watch the fun.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Jacob, for stopping by, and we'll see you next week in the UK.
See you there.
All right, and I'll go from one Enduro teammate to another. We'll go ahead and bring in Jose Naves. Managed to move up one position into P13 and avoid some flaming barrels out there. So, Jose, a little bit messy out there, kind of somewhat predictably at the Hungaroring. So, what are your thoughts about tonight's race?
Yeah, it was a really, really tough track car combo. I mean, we recently did it with the F4, and it just felt completely different. It's just like it feels that the car is too fast for this track. But yeah, like it was a very challenging race, and yeah, like the focus today for me was to try to stay out of trouble. I just create my own trouble. I was just like spinning here and there, but at least I didn't take anyone with me, so I was happy with that. But yeah, there was a lot worse going on around, so I was able to make a position there.
Yeah, pretty good work just to keep it clean on this one. There were some movers that went up and some movers that went down pretty precipitously. I have a -9, -6, -8, and a -18. So
wow.
some of your fellow competitors had some rough times out there. And I asked Jacob before you about Olton Park. So that is coming up next on the schedule. It's a favorite of mine, both to drive in to commentate on. So have you started prepping for that? And do you have any thoughts about racing in the UK?
So I haven't started prepping for that one. I've done it in other cars. I've never done it in the F3. It's gonna be very challenging on the F3 from what I remember about it. But yeah, I guess it's gonna be fun. Like another track that is gonna probably be challenging to overtake, just like the Hungaroring. So I predict there's gonna be a little bit of messes going around. So just the focus is gonna be just to try to stay clean again.
Yeah, that is the key to these races more often than not. All right, well, Jose, thank you for stopping by and sharing your thoughts. And as we wrap up, is there anyone you'd like to thank or give a shout out to tonight?
Yeah, I'm gonna give a shout out to my wife. She prepared my dinner, and I'm starving, so I'm gonna enjoy it a lot.
Tough to drive with that smell in the air, though, isn't it?
Yep, it is.
All right. Well, thanks again, Jose, for stopping by, and we'll see you next week at Olton Park.
Thank you very much.
All right, that is Jose Nava stopping by to chat with us. P13 moved up 1. And folks, I'd like you to go ahead and subscribe to Slow Motion Broadcasting. Hit that notification icon so that you don't miss any of the action. We're not just about these fantastic open wheelers out here. We've got some outstanding racing most nights of the week. And I'd like to go ahead and tell you about some of our upcoming schedule. There it is. On Saturday, our Weekend Warriors Formula Vs will visit Manny Coors, and on Sunday, our Weekend Warriors doubleheader will feature Formula Fords at Rudskigen and Spec Racer Fords at the Mexico Grand Prix circuit, and XSLR will run at Lanier Raceway. And next Tuesday, we'll be back with Sim Racers Group for Formula 4 racing at Oschersleben, and 1 week from tonight, as we've said, SRG F3 at Olton Park. So I am J.R. Gregory. On behalf of myself, my partner, Charles Boshell, our producer, Adam Thompson, and everyone here at SMB, thank you so much for joining us. Enjoy the rest of your day wherever you are, and hang on, baby. Friday's coming.